Let's see. Get this set up right. Just looks a little off. Hey, hi. Oh my goodness. No. Oof. I can't, I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait till we get snow. Give me just a moment. I'm trying to balance it out a little bit more. It looks straight when I'm looking at it, but on camera it's not straight. It's driving me. Okay. I'm gonna try one more. So you know, let me give it a go. That's better. So today we're going to be making the making backpack. I have the hardest time. I want to put it off the end of this pattern like forever. Every time I make it, I want to say making it backpack. It's just making backpack. I've seen this backpack so many moons ago, and I have made it so many times. It is a great seller for me. It comes together really fast. I like it in everything. I have made it in leather, vinyl, waterproof canvas, water resistant canvas, oil skin, oilcloth, like you've name it, I made it in it. And every time the backpack always surprises me. I think Noodlehead, she whenever she makes any pattern, every time I make it, always enamored with the product after I make it. She just knows how to put a pattern together and it comes together like flawlessly and effortlessly, and you feel really proud of what you make. So I'm really excited to make this backpack with you again today. I have a full tutorial on my channel. I'll put the link in my comments not in the in the description box when I'm done. This one is more if you've been wanting to use if you have the kit or you have the exact zipper size for metal and you've just been a little cautious, this is the perfect one for you. I got the kit, and the kit comes with the 1 inch handles, the 1.5 inch webbing, as well as the hardware. It comes with a zipper for the main compartment as well as the zipper pocket in the inside. It comes with the fun faux leather, not faux leather, I'm sorry, real leather. And I did some punching. I put my name of my business, Nova's Knits, with some hand punching on there. And I think it's going to come out really cute. And I'm ready to start. So with any pattern, it has a cut chart and how much measurements. If you about it was either a year or 2 years ago, she came out with the mini size of this. So I've made the mini size. It is adorable and it is the cutest thing. And let me see if I can show you. The mini sizes have like you can do an alternate pocket. I actually should have caught out the alternate pocket for the main size one, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. I did not do the alternate pocket. Maybe I'll do the mini size over the holidays, so that way if you want to give it to somebody, you can. The mini size is a great seller for me too. A lot of people think it's super cute. So on page 6, she has really cool layout instructions, and if you are using canvas or if you're using really precious fabric, she has like a perfect layout. I really appreciate when people have that, because sometimes when I have cork or I have something that's precious to me, I kind of like have a little bit of a panic attack on how I'm going to get everything that I like on to get cut. And I love it when pattern designers have some kind of layout or anatomy. It makes me a little bit more calmer, and it allows me to cut what I need to cut out. So she has on page 6 like a small paragraph ish. It has like six or it's like a sentence, a couple sentences and some bulletins. And she's saying that when we're working with wax canvas, that we really don't need any interfacing. And she's absolutely correct. The wax on the canvas, especially if you're working with 10 ounces or more, um, it's sturdy enough to be on its own, and it looks really cool because it's slouchy, but it's not. But if you do want a more stable, then you can look at foam, or you can look at what I'm advising today, where there's some batting, and it's just to give it an extra, like, oomph. So what we're gonna start is you need to get to page 7, and we're gonna prep our handle loops. And there's two handle loops on the cutout. One is more significantly shorter than the other. This is the main one on the front, and this is the one on the back. So there are lines that you have to make. And I'm just going to put where the lines are first. Then I'm just going to put a couple clips ever so often, like every inch or two. And this is going to create some dimension with the handles and makes it look a little bit, it just looks really cool. It just better to grab, give it extra structure. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the little one. This one goes on the back. It would help if I fold this. The little one is kind of weird because it comes in. It's not a lot you're going to be sewing. It's because it's significantly shorter than the front. All right, let's start with the little one. She even recommends not to use cotton because cotton would deteriorate, especially with the wax canvas over time, to use like a polyester or nylon thread. I'm using Amon's 70 weight thread and Dove Gray. That is one of my favorite colors in the 70 weight thread. I feel like it's a good blender thread that just goes with everything. We're going to sew 1/8 inch from each marking. This is cotton webbing, so we can't like heat it up to stop the fraying, but we can put fray check and glue on it. It's going to be interesting because you know that I use double-sided tape for everything. Well, wax canvas, you really can't. So you just have to pin, clip, and say, oh, sewing gods, please allow everything to be okay today. And just snip those extra threads. And when you're sewing this, make sure you top stitch. When you top stitch, you back stitch at the beginning and the end. We're just going to put this on the side for right now. And we're going to grab our front pocket. Now our front pocket has very similar dimensions. It's tall and its width are the very similar dimension, but it's a little bit wider by a 1/2 inch. So make sure that you have a little bit wider stance as your width. And you can go back. What I usually do, and I forgot to do it here, but you can see me what I'm going to do right now. For Noodlehead, I always go back to the cutting section and I put some kind of clip or something so that way if I get confused, because I can get confused with everyone else, that I can go back and see how tall something is and how wide something is. So this is how wide the widest point is right here. It's wider coming across here, that means that this is where it needs to be sewn because it's a 1/2 inch shorter. All right. So with Noodlehead, the seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. We're going to back stitch at the beginning and end, lock in those stitches. This is an oilskin that I got on Etsy, and I think it's Al Francis. I'm not sure I'm saying this correct, but I can definitely look. I don't know if I have purchased. I hate going through my purchase thing because they'll be like, you have 1 million purchases. I buy so many patterns and like so many like materials from Etsy because I love supporting small businesses, and I feel like this is one way I can support. But I believe I got this on Etsy, and it's this beautiful like dark, it's like a, I don't know what color I would even call this. It's not quite teal. It's definitely, it's a weird color blue. But it's one of my favorite, and I only had a very little bit left. So I was like, let me go for it. So once we have this done, we are going to put these right sides together. And I'm using a water resistant canvas right here. And this one is from Backstitch, but I'm pretty sure that Backstitch Print, I know that's no longer, but the owner of Backstitch Print has a new company called Iris, and I think she's going to be carrying this water resistant canvas. And this one feels a little bit different than the one that you would get kind of from like a Waywack with the ripstop. It's lighter than waterproof canvas, but it's heavier than ripstop, and I just really love sewing with it. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's just right. So we're going to top stitch this down at 1/8 of an inch, or 1/4, or 3/8, whatever you like. Okay, I have a little bit of overage right here, so I'm just going to trim this up so it's nice and flush. All right, so the next part, we're going to do is, before we put this onto the main panel, we're going to make some markings. We're going to measure in 2.5 inches on both sides of the pocket. And we're going to use a chalk pen. You can actually, if you don't want to use a chalk pen, you can kind of use like any boning tool, any tool at all, and just to help, because with wax canvas and oil skin, the more crinkles and wrinkles kind of gives it a nice story. It's 2.5 inches on each side. And then from there, for the bottom edge, we're going to measure 2.5 inches on the bottom. Let's see. And then she suggests that you get a cup, a small cup, and do the rounding. I'm going to be using a creative grid ruler that is 2.5 inches. and use that for the rounding. And I'm just putting it, placing it in between the bottom line and the side line, and then I'll have my rounding. But you could put a cup. A cup can give it a little bit more depth and a bigger circle. I want it kind of like a sharp circle. All right, I'm going to get the front. Now, for the front of mine, if you see, this is wadding. This is not even cotton. I think this is polyester. No, I think, yeah, this is polyester wadding or batting. You can get this at Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any place that they sell quilts. If you're across the pond, they definitely call it wadding. um, Here they just call it batting. This is very light. You can see you can still have wrinkle it up and have its structure or whatever, but at the same time there's some weird stability with it. So this is something that I think might do very well if you're trying to save a few bucks and have something kind of interesting. This might be very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and clip these down, and I just basted it on at 1/8 of an inch. You could base it on at 1/4 because again the seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. So what we're going to do here is we're going to measure down about a 1/2 inch on each side of this line. We're going to go in at 1/2 inch, so start sewing from that, go all the way around, up, and then across again. What we're doing is we're making that this is just a pocket, and your pocket's not going to go wandering all over the place. There's nothing worse than having a pocket all the way down to the bottom and you can't find your pen, pencils, what have you. So it's giving it a nice tight pocket that will be perfect for your cell phone. Now, I have put a turn lock on this where the stem of the turn lock was on the exterior main part and had an opening here. You can do a snap lock. You can do a magnetic snap. There's a lot of things you can do. I've even had a request to do Velcro, where Velcro I did on the lining piece and you couldn't see it on this piece, and then had it on the exterior piece of this. There's a lot of things you can do. You can do the invisible magnets here too to keep it closed, but it's pretty cool by having it come in 2.5 inches on both sides. This pocket doesn't gape or doesn't have a wide open, and it's really nice. If you even go as far when we get to putting the handles, putting like a D-ring on your handles, it's actually a real cool thing, or have a swivel hook on your handles to like clip your keys, and your keys can hang in here really nice. I like sometimes having the simplicity of not having tons of hardware on your bag, because if you're trying to sell, it's more cost efficient, and sometimes people like having something that looks lighter and feels lighter and doesn't have a whole bunch of mechanisms all in it. So we're going to take this over to the machine and we're going to start, and we're going to go from there. We're going to back stitch at every time we start and stop. And when you go needle down, make sure you pivot. And just follow that line that you made, whether it's chalk or if you did what I did and used a bone folder because you're using wax. Take your time on the curves. Even if you have to just slow it down to 1 stitch at a time, do whatever it takes to make it easier for you. I think these would be awesome gifts to give for the holidays, especially the large one. if you have a family member that's like a gamer and has laptops or computers and is really into technology, you can put like really cool. You can use a padding, make a sleeve for a computer inside, that's also padded. I just think this is a very nice gift, and it's not incredibly expensive to make. Or it's, and also what's not expensive, it doesn't take a whole lot of your time, which to me, time is priceless, especially around the holidays. Okay, so we have this nice pocket now. Okay, and I'm going to just go around here and base this pocket down so that when we are putting the two pattern pieces together, two bag pieces together, there won't be anything that kind of just starts flying off on its own. You can use 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, whatever is easier for you. And the cool thing is usually wadding and like polyester based like foams and battings are usually doorbusters at like Michael's, Joann's, and Hobby Lobbies on Black Friday. I also heard through the grapevine, I don't know, I don't have any friends that work at Joann's, but I heard through the grapevine that Joann's is not going to be carrying Pellon anymore. So if you see it and you love it and you use it, I might will tell you to not do like toilet paper roll wars where you're trying to buy everything and then you're going to gouge other people for prices. But I heard I heard that they're not going to be selling it. So if you see something on Black Friday, I would highly recommend you to get it because I don't know where you might only have to be able to buy it online after this. They're going to be having another product. It's going to be something that is it's going to be cheaper for us to get, but I'm not too sure what the brand is. I'm just going to trim this little excess gray right here so everything can stay nice and flush. All right. So from here, if you want to put morning, raining in New York, yeah. Good morning. So we're going from here we could put 2 rivets on each side, and I'm going to do that. I like the way rivets look. So I'm going to just kind of scrunch this up and put it in between where that little gap between with the top stitching and where we did the 1/2 inch U starting. So right there, so they can just nestle really nicely. And do the sew is swivel. I promise you, like when I'm punching leather, no problem. When I'm punching anything else, that's where I have the problem. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. If not, I'll just, okay, throw it on this side. All right, so let me get my rivets. I'm gonna get 2 stems and 2 heads. And because they're a little larger stems than I would prefer, I'm going to get 2. I make these out of my leather scraps. They're washers. I would put this on this kind of material anyways because this is cotton and we're using wadding. It's not, that means that this can easily pull through. So I'm going to take the 2 stems and thread them through And this is really not poking through. Let me see if I have another rivet punch. Oh, there we go. Oh, to the middle one. Okay. So I'm going to take the 2 stems and push them through. And then flip them around to the back. Take the washers. And this now will give it some resistance as well. So if there's any pulling on the pocket, the rivets are not just going to come out. Then I'm going to place the heads on the stems, and I'm going to just take this over to my machine real quick and set this. And you should, when you're setting this with a rivet press, you should feel 2 pressed, like I feel 2 pressures, like 1, 2, and it's set. If it goes more than 2, then I don't think it like mushrooms right, and it's like the stem collapse. All right, so we have that. All right, so we done that. Now we're going to hop on over to page 8, and we're going to do some measurements. First, we're going to find our centers, as every pattern has us doing. I'm just going to put a clip. And I'm just going to do a small V. It doesn't have to be incredibly small because, again, our seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. All right. So from here, we're going to be making some marks. We're going to measure 1.5 inch on either side. And we're going to 1/2 inch on either side vertically. Okay. And 3.5 inches down. Now, the interesting thing about this is, again, we can't use any where did I put the on the handles? We can't use any double-sided tape. So you have to resort to this and glue. So I'm just gonna put a bead of glue. I'm gonna measure in. We're gonna fold these in over about 1 inch. So if you're a person that's like me, you're a horrible eyeballer. I'm going to just put a 2-inch mark on each one of my short ends, where in the inside, not the outside. And then I'm just going to drop some glue inside to make it so it stays together. And I find that fabric tack or beacon, it doesn't gum up my needles as bad as double-sided tape. And by doing this, I'm also, by putting it on the edge, I'm just kind of making sure that the fabric doesn't run or fray as bad as it can. Okay. All right. So I get out pin or two. And I'm going to make sure I measure 3.5 inches down and 1.5 inches on each side. And I'm just going to weave my fabric around the pin real quick. And do the same thing on the other side. All right. Okay, so from here, hello. Oh yeah, because we can't, there's not a lot we can do without compromising the oilskin. So we want to do as minimal as possible to compromise it. So from here, we're going to measure 1.5 inches up. I'm using some chalk and just making sure it's exactly at 1.5 inches. And then we're going to make an X in a box. All right, there goes my chalk pen, and hopefully it didn't fall in the trash can. I'm going to pull up some thread to get it as close as I can, and I am going to start with the one that's furthest away from me, and I'm going to backstitch. This backpack doesn't have a lot of rivets or anything like that, so we're doing this for durability. You can definitely if you're nervous about this part, do the back stitching and do all your matching the color of the webbing. It'll be conspicuous and no one will see any accidentally hiccups. I like to cause torture and torment in my life, so I'm going to go a different color. The great thing about this is that the bag, you see me, the bag, because we did it with wadding and batting, it's super flexible. We're 100% having some, you can easily make the bag work around you. Okay, let's start doing the X. Okay, we're done with one. And see, with the wadding, it's taking it really nice, and you can see the X in the back. We're just having fun. You can you can even one up it if you're a really good stitcher. You can even do like someone's initials instead of the X. Like do the box, and you can do someone's initials. I'm just saying, I'm giving you ideas for Christmas. Okay. Hello. I don't know. I really like Noodlehead's patterns. There's not a pattern that she has not made that I don't like. I even own a couple of some books that she has patterns that are not a part like that that you can't buy the patterns. Like there's a book, her original book has like this market tote, not a market tote, it's a pull side tote. And it's not the one that you can see on it's not the one that you could purchase. It has this round, like it almost looks like a hat flipped backwards, and it's only in her book. I immediately bought the book. The book is like easily maybe 4 or 5 years old. Um I anytime she comes out of the pattern, I have to buy something because like she's brilliant. You designers, you have that's where I fangirl at. I'm like designers are just so cool. I know if you guys are in Wisconsin. I was on Sally Tomato. Um, she has like a Thursday tea time where she talks about new patterns and whatnot. I She has an open house, I believe, this Friday and Saturday, and there's like a time where you can like meet her and stuff. If I was in Wisconsin, I would be all over that. That lady has made so many patterns, and it's like an open house, and you get to like pre Black Friday stuff. And I think that's so cool. All right, so once we're done with that, we're going to put our label, which I put my business name, Nova's Knits. And again, there's no double-sided tape. So you're just going to have to put some fabric tack and glue it and then pray to the sewing gods. Please don't shift. Please don't shift. The world without double-sided tape. You don't appreciate it until you can't use it. Yes, her oh, that pouch is gorgeous. In the book theme too, she has like fabric flip-flops that you can make. Your girl was wearing those for a couple summers. Like I made some like it clown ones with some notorious fabric that I got. It was man, it was pretty cool. I didn't know we can make flip-flops. So I wore those like all the time. I was like, this is the coolest thing. And my husband was like, is it? And I'm like, you know it is. My fabric tag is not trying to come out, and I don't want to cut a bigger hole. I'd rather have it drizzle out slowly than just blob everywhere. There's no happy medium with me. It either comes out like where I'm like, oh snack, man, it's everywhere, or it comes out like where I'm squeezing the ever life out of it. All right, and then I'm just gonna stitch around here. You could pull the threads to the back, but because we didn't pull the threads back to the back for this handle, because again, there's no rivets, I'm just going to be like, let's stitch. Take your time. Use your scissors so they don't clink around. And if you get the kit, again, none of these are affiliate. You can do this cool thing like with Veg Tan. What I like to do, I didn't have the time to do it on this one, is I like to like treat it with olive oil, like the olive oil you have in your kitchen. You just like dab it on and it changes the color and you're gonna freak out. You're gonna be like, I ruined it, I ruined it. But no, you didn't. What it actually shows is what the vegetable tan is gonna look like as it ages. The olive oil actually helps treats it to be water resistant, and it actually conditions it to be softer. It winds up being lighter at the end, but it treats it so that way it can become water resistant. And you're probably like, Shinova, it's a small piece. Why? Because we're using oil skin, this is naturally water resistant, and our we're using water resistant uh inside for the interior. this will just happen. It will be great because this, the water will beat off and this is going to turn dark brown if it's raining like it is out here right now in Maryland. So I always think of things like that because I live in Maryland. I'm more surprised when it doesn't rain than when it does. So water resistant is important to me. Okay, we're going to start making the zipper gusset. So this is the exterior. This is the heavier wax canvas. This is about 16 ounces, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to use this. Grab. We're going to use this for the inside. You're going to be the bottom gusset. And put you over here. This is the other one. Okay. Now this again, because we can't use double-sided tape, we really have to baste everything and really just take our time and get this right. Our seam allowance for zipper is 1/4 of an inch. So when we baste, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch. We're going to take this, and this zipper is exactly 23 inches. So we're going to place this on, if you see how it exactly fits, that was my ruler, and made these kits perfectly. So as you can see, this is a YKK zipper. This is not, where's my, this zipper is a little over, this is zipper's 1 1/8. It's not the standard 1 1/4 that we're used to working by the zipper by the yard. If you get the zipper by the yard metal zipper, they are 1 1/4 of an inch, but some do come in 1 1/8. The ones that sell by Bringberry, I believe, are 1 1/4. But there's others that I've got from different different people, and they're 1 1/8. Just something to think of, because the reason why it's not a 3/8 of an inch. It would just suck it up, and we will be cutting super close to the zipper teeth. So we're going to get the right side of the lining and put the wrong side of the zipper, and we're going to baste this in place at 1/8 of an inch. And because this is not pulled, the zipper's not pulled, we again cannot take the zippers off. So we're going to have to be very cognizant when we're putting the main panel on. We have to move zippers around, because there's a for sure bubble with the two zippers, as you can see, kind of like right here. So we don't want to just like, oh, I have a zipper foot, I can sew around it. You still, even if you have a zipper foot, need to move the zipper to the two zippers so that it doesn't get like this awkward bubbling around it. Okay, we're going to take this is again 16-ounce waterproof canvas, not wax canvas. And as you can see, I basted it on with just whatever. I think I was bobbin dumping, because like it looks like I used green and like this side is gray, this side is khaki, and this side's purple. So I must have been bobbin dumping. When I bobbin dump, I baste. Like I have like a spool full of just little bobbins that I don't want to waste, and I put them in a bucket for bobbin dumping. And this got the gist of it. But this is very heavyweight. The more crinkles it does get, that beautiful lines that tells a story. It's one of my favorites. It's going to be more structured than you would think. So we're going to put this right sides together, And then we're going to start sewing at the 1/4 of an inch. We are going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Now the zippers are really close. I'm just going to sew about 6 inches down, and then I'm going to move the zippers. Because I don't want it to have that weird The sandhill sling was the first one you ever made. I taught the sandhill sling at Sandra's school at the Garner Room. I love that bag. It just comes together so effortlessly, and they all did the drop-in lining. I was so proud of them. Yeah. Oh my God. I might need to try that. I haven't tried it cutting at an angle. I'm always afraid that one of that particular brand, because that brand either explodes or like comes out slow as molasses for me. All right, so we're going to the lining to meet the exterior, and I'm going to just stick some clips on here. Because if you use heat or an iron, it can compromise your wax canvas. We're not going to do that. We're just going to finger press. You can roll with a seam roller, whatever you got to do. And then we're going to top stitch. Okay. And let's do this on the other side. Happy Thursday, Io. Okay, lining up. And we're going to put the wrong side of the zipper, pretty sides up. And we're going to base this at 1 inch. Sorry, bumped you guys. Okay, we're going to put this right sides together, 1/4 of an inch. I have to I'm like running behind. I have to make a grocery list of what I need for baking. I have everything that for cooking, like the ham and everything. I'm not going to get the vegetables until like Tuesday. Because if the vegetables look remotely soggy for Thanksgiving, my husband knows my facial expression. He was like, "I'm going to the grocery store." um, but like I haven't got any of the stuff that I need for baking yet. And my son is being like super extra. Like I was like two desserts because I'm trying not to die from like them eating like amazingly. Like I'm stuck not eating any of like the good stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, I want brownies, pumpkin pie, cheesecake, your famous chocolate cake." I'm like, seriously? He's gonna be 13 in March, and I don't know where he puts all this food. Like, I don't know. Literally, I look at him, I'm like, where does this all go? Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna flip this, and we're gonna tug on this lining to meet the exterior pieces, and just kind of clip it. My clips, if you ever notice, they're never matching. they're, they're a little bit of everything. I should call like my clip jar like Skittles or something. And I know you would be tempted to try to just only use heat on the side of the water resistant canvas. Don't do it. Don't do it if you have wax canvas, because the heat will still penetrate on the wax, and you don't want to ruin your wax. You're 6'5" and so much as a teen. Yeah, and I think he's gonna be tall. My husband is 6'4.5", so I think good morning. I think he's gonna be a tall one, but I'm 5'9", so I it's just I don't know where all the food goes. Like in my daughter, like the middle daughter, Hope, she eats like weird stuff. Like she likes, so right now her infatuation is popcorn bacon. So like you fry up your popcorn, right? You remove the bacon. I'm sorry, you fry up your bacon, you remove the bacon, you let the bacon like, sit on paper towels or whatever. But the drippings from the bacon is what you fry your popcorn in. This is her new thing because TikTok made her do it. So but she eats also like she likes apple oatmeal, but with like so much raisins. Like she goes through like a box of raisins a week, and we're just like, okay, where are all these raisins going? And I don't notice it that much. I notice if like the craisins gone. Like if I can't have craisins, I'm going ham on everybody. But like my husband eats raisins like when he makes his trail mix and whatever, and like my daughter has no shame in her game. All right, so we have this top stitch, and we're going to mosey on down to page. Oh, we're going to use. I'm sorry, we're going to get the tabs. First, I also want to do this. One tab. Two. We're going to take a tab that there's cutting measurements. They're about 2.5 inches, and I'm going to fold it in half and place it right so it's like there, it's flush. And then we're going to sew it in place at 1/8 of an inch. It'll be caught up in the seam allowance. Again, since this is cotton, you can just add a drop of glue just so it can help with the fraying. And we're going to do it again on this side. All right, so I'm going to do something that's not in the pattern, but you could buy from Noodlehead store. These are leather strips. They're very nice. They come in really great qualities. I'm going to take this. You can do a couple things. You can put them through here and like make a little loop and grab it and pull it. If you do it this way, you can do it at the very end. And now it has like a different thing. Look, you can take it through here. And the reason I'm showing you this now is in case if you want to do this method. You can have this nice and straight. And instead of having a rivet, you can cut this at an angle and then sew it straight down. Because now, because there's no bulk, this is the prime time to do it. And it could be just nice long tabs. So it's all personal preference. If you want to have just long tabs that have where you can just pull, this is your perfect time because you don't have the rest of the bag with you. When it gets weirder, the more bulk you have. So that's the reason why I mentioned it now. Most of the times you see people doing this because it's more organic for us to see in what we do. But I personally also like creative spins on stuff, and to have a tab without having a rivet is pretty cool. There's also different ways. If this part was a little bit wider on the pull, then you can pull it through that way. But unfortunately, it's really narrow, and there's no way you're going to put that in there. But just giving you that option. So I'm going to, at the end of the bag, I'm going to tie these off like that. And as you can see, it's not that easy to take them off, but it could be if the person doesn't like it. So it's a great thing to get, again, to give a boost to a bag, to give it a leather feel. And it'll be even better if you have the leather in the front of your bag that match this. But I do like the sew-in method a lot, especially if you're trying to go for a more masculine type bag. All right, so once we're done with this, we're going to mosey on page 9. And we're going to go grab our top. Hey, I was talking about you earlier. I was talking about how you had the resin tape at the Mormino class. I was saying that if you can't work with metal, the resin tape is good. And look at this. Absolutely perfect. Chef's kiss. Gotta love it when they're absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to take my clip and just put them on the side. I was like, Be Young had red resin tape, and I absolutely love. So I'm going to clip this now so it holds all 3. So right sides together for lining, right sides together for exterior. And then we're going to use the 1/2 inch seam allowance and sew across. Now, just make sure your zipper pulls are in the middle so you don't accidentally sew over them. Back stitch off a little bit and then back stitch on. And take your time. Okay. We're going to flip this so we can give this a nice clean tuck. See how this worked out perfectly? The zipper stops there. We're nowhere near the pull, but you got now this beautiful zipper for your bag. We're going to top stitch this and back stitch beginning and end. I'm going to curl up my material. And back stitch at the end. Because we're not trimming any of the seam allowances down really, you want to back stitch so you can lock in the stitches so they don't unravel. One of the reasons why I find it really important to read the patterns, because if you trim, then it's like, okay, it's pointless to back stitch. But if you're not trimming, there's a reason why, and that's one of the main reasons is now don't. Make sure you back stitch. Okay, we're going to put this and we're going to sew this together at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Turns this right sides out. And we're going to press it with our fingers. You're sewing the compass bag? Yes, I love the compass bag. Hey, Sandra. The compass bag is a really pretty bag. Okay. Okay, make sure you trim those threads. Do as I say, not as I do, because apparently I always have like in my threads just chilling. All right, so from here, we pick up the paper that I so carelessly just tossed across the room. We are going to baste along all the long seams together. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to baste. I'm going to just baste out, just like like 1/4 of an inch, because again, we have a pretty big seam allowance. I remember the first time I made this backpack was for Notorious. It was one of my strike-offs, and oh my god, I fell in love with this bag. It's really one of the perfect backpack patterns, especially about this time of the year. I always want to sew some because there's always someone I know that is like a gamer, or they're a hiker, or there's something that they need a backpack, and this backpack comes together so quickly, so much room, and doesn't make that much hardware. All right. There are so many patterns coming out in the next, like, 2 weeks, guys. You are in for some major surprises. I don't know all of them. I know some of them just because, I test or something. And hearing through the grapevine. These designers are just like growing and just evolving even more. Like, it's just amazing. All right, so we have it at one side. So what I'm going to do before we start doing our handles is I'm going to find my centers, because I do that every single time. So I'm matching side seams to side seams, clipping. All right. So from here, we're going to take our connectors. So I am not using wax canvas for it, even though it's strong enough. There's something about water resistant canvas is one of my favorite things to use for strap connectors, because nothing's going to make this bond go away. So with this, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to press the long edges to a 1/2 inch over. So what we're going to do is draw out 1 inch. And this, we can use double-sided tape, my friends. We can use double-sided tape. I know. It's been such a long time. I'm using 1/8 of an inch tape from Tandy Leather. I love and hate this tape. I love that it's terrible. Um, but I also hate it because it's terrible. I don't know. it's it's it works sometimes and other times it's not. It depends on the product. There's no such thing as perfect double-sided tape, because most like leather tapes are really made for leather. Like, every time I sew something in leather, I notice the tapes work tremendously better. Faux leather, there's some tapes that work better than next. But this particular tape, I feel like it works great on water resistant canvas, but when I try to use it on vinyl, it just like, it despises me. So we turn this in 1/2 of an inch, and then we're going to fold this on itself, and we're going to measure across and cut at a 1/2 inch. So I brought my handy dandy little thingamabobber. Yeah, that is the actual technical term for that. Making sure that they're even. And from point to point, you're just going to cut that. From point to point. Okay, so then we're going to grab our small pieces. That was a lot of rivets. We're going to get our small pieces cut that are the 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch wide cotton, and we're going to grab our hardware. Now the hardware also comes from Noodlehead, and they aren't welded, but they're very strong. I try to actually, prior to this, try to open them up because that's me, tester through and through. And I actually try to have Kendall open them up, and he was like, "Oh, they're not opening. They're very sturdy." I like her antique bronzing, wherever she got it from. It's plated really nice. It looks very it it has like it's more than one dimensional. So you can see like there's darker shades of antique throughout it. So I'm here for it. I always like new hardware. To me, it is new to me. So again, all the stuff that I got, minus my own wax canvas and stuff like that, is from Noodlehead, and I purchased it myself. So the links that you see above are just what I purchased, and I always like I said, small business. Every Friday or Thursday when I'm sewing these kits are kits that I bought for people that have patterns that sell kits for their patterns. So we first did Georgia Stitch. She had her own pattern of the key fobs, and then last week we did the Bertram bag from Simply Classic, and she again is another person that her own has her own pattern designers and designs, plus she has kits, and this one is Noodleheads. She does have fabric. She doesn't sell the fabric there. She does have this incredible fabric line, and I was trying to purchase the fabric from Etsy. It just didn't come in time. So, and it's really pretty, her fabric line. So I'm going across this area, and I am sewing 1/8 of an inch to each one of these connectors. And what I'm going to do is we're going to sandwich this in about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to get my glue that wants to drip at a very slow pace, and I'm going to just place this on here, and I'm going to also drizzle some of the glue onto where it's fraying. Lordy, I'm going to have to cut you because you are just like not wanting to work with me. Hey, Lynette. You have a new pattern coming out soon, but I haven't decided with the rest of the year for the pattern. I can't wait. You're very talented, and I know for a fact my whatever pattern is, somehow, some way, I know my Patreon people absolutely adore you. They love your talent immensely. Okay, I need to find a different glue. I'm trying. This thing is like, guess what? We're not gonna come out. It's like it's clogged. That's the only other thing about this glue that I don't like. I'm just going to rub this stuff on you real quick. Sorry. I know, it's gross. It's like Loki's drool times 10. Sorry. Oh my god, I shouldn't have said his name. You know he's been like Beetlejuice lately. Coming out of nowhere. Oh, there we go. Yay, glue. So I'm putting glue at the ends of this a lot so that way it can help with the frame. And then I'm just going to put some glue right here so it can help hold it together. Let that get a little tacky real quick. Okay, the slant is working, people. We need to cut these at slants. Okay. And I'm going to put the glue right on the edge and on the other side. So that way I can just hold that, whatever the frame is. Okay. All right. All right. So we're going to sew this. We're going to go up and across, but we're not doing it on the open V, just where the finished edges are. So here and across. I'm going to back stitch. So is anybody looking for anything in particular for Black Friday? If you feel like that's not enough sewing, you can go 1/8 of an inch down again. So do it at 1/4 of an inch. That is totally cool. You can throw a rivet in here, but it's not a lot for it to hang on to. I definitely think I always like to go 1/4 of an inch. It was funny. After I did the hand massager thing, I had some friends that I guess they don't sew, but they watch my captain's log just, for support because that's, good friends, right? They were like, "Wait, I play video games." And the other person was like, "I'm a masseuse. Why didn't you like tell me about this and I would have bought one so I could relax after work?" And I'm like, "I didn't. I'm sorry." I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to go in for just good measure um, at 1/4 of an inch too. It's just because this is water resistant canvas, you're not going to perforate it, and it just gives it that extraness that you want to make sure it's extra secure. Okay. Okay. That's one done. And it just gives you just a peace of mind that if someone's carrying something a little bit heavier, it's not just one stitch holding on for dear life. And again, you could put rivets. But I kind of like how like this bag is kind of like naturally like natural and doesn't have a lot of rivets. I don't know why. The whole aesthetic is just very pleasing to me. All right, so now we're gonna mosey on page 10. And we're going to place these back connectors onto the back piece. This is the back piece. And we're going to find our centers. We're just going to clip this so there's no shifting. Oh yeah, we're making the making backpack. I know Anne, if she's watching this, she'd be like, "Stop saying it." Making backpack from Noodlehead. So we're going to measure up. There's measurements for the mini too. The mini is super cute. We can definitely make a mini if people want to at another time because the mini is adorable. It comes out just adorably. It's the cutest little mini backpack. We're going to go 1.5 inches up and sew this together. So I'm just going to grab a clip and just hold this in place. And not stab myself with scissors today. If you hang around with me, you know that I am a complete and utter klutz. It's okay. It's part of my method and my madness. All right. we're going to sew this. I'm going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and end. Even though this is just like holding it in place, again, we're not trimming any seam allowances, so this is just going to be a reinforcement stitch. So lock it in. We're going to do it on the other side. Let's see. What's good to do? Yeah, I use the 1541 S to sew up plain cotton with the to quilt on with by Annie's. I've also done it with the 5550, and believe it or not, I've done it with the free arm. See, I am not the person that has different spool. Like I can't buy, okay, for example, I have hot pink. I don't have a separate spool for each machine. So if I'm working on one machine, I have to unthread and then put it on the other. So I'm a lazy unthreader. I'm a lazy unthreader. I'm a lazy person that messes with the stitches. So when I unthread this, if I'm going to be sewing on it, I usually do the whatever machine I'm on from beginning to end. That's why you guys get like different machines all the time, because if I already have it threaded in that machine, I'm not going to change it because chances are the bobbin's already full on that and whatever. So I have literally quilted vinyl and leather on all three machines, and they're all like perfect. So we're going to use we're going to get our 36 inches webbing, and I'm going to do something. Okay, you know how we had the water resistant canvas and I was just like throwing it away? I'm going to take two of these and not throw them away. I need a 1-inch piece. From each one of these. This is on the fly. This is not on the pattern. This is because this is going to have the raw edges. This is cotton. I'd like to make an end, like you'll see real quick. I like to make something to help protect the cotton from fraying more. We're not putting rivets, and so whatever we put in there, it's going to help, but I just want to, Lordy mercy, you are, it's okay, I just dropped the papers. My glue struggle is real. It's all right. I'm just gonna get some double-sided tape for this. Okay. I'm using some carpenter tape. You can get carpenter tape at Lowe's, Home Depot, you name it. I like carpenter tape. It's super sticky and it doesn't gum up your needles, and it's relatively inexpensive, and you can pretty much get it in any size. Now, there's a learning curve with it. When I first got it, I hated it. I hated it with a passion. But then I had to realize that you really have to work with it, and some materials like grab on quickly with it, and others are like, no, not today, not never. The 8700 is not like the 111. They're two different machines. And I think didn't you sew on the 1181 when we were in um at Lauren's? I feel like the 8700 is a great machine. The thing with the 8700, if you're not just trying to sew bags and you're trying to sew the costumes, corsets, quilts, blankets, and things like that, that is a great machine because you can change out the feed dogs and have it could be several different machines. However, um, I don't. It has its limitations, like any other machine. When you're 1181, you really can't sew clothes on, and it's meant for a bag. But with that, it has its limitations too. It can't sew thicker leathers, and there there's a huge learning curve. But there's a learning curve with every one of these. Don't let that fool you. All right, so I'm putting this on one edge, not the edge that's going inside the bag, but the edge that's going to be on the lighter. Halfway through, and I cut a 1 inch. It should be 1 inch by 1.5. And I'm folding it on itself so that this can encapsulate the raw edges. This is why you don't always throw away your scraps, my friends. And I'm going to keep that there. And I'm just going to do a quick stitch over this, 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. It's going to get sewn on anyways when we make these straps. But I just wanted something to protect the frame from happening. It's quick, like it stops the friction. It's just something to protect that edge. So we're going to look 2 inches down. Yeah, that's the best way of saying without a walking. The 8700, I feel like it's a really good machine. I think that it doesn't get enough credit where credit is due. It's a good machine though. We're gonna go 2 inches down. So I'm just going to draw 2 inches. But if you're trying to sew leather, like you're really going to do it. See, a lot of people say they're going to do it and they don't do it. That's the interesting thing. If you're really trying to sell all leather and you're trying to make this a business, whatever, I say go for the workhorse. But if you're like, hey, I'm only going to be selling faux leather, cork, or whatever, I'm like, dude, go for the 8700. One, it's more financially better and you can always upgrade. Two, it can sew more than just bags. You can change your feet out and so much more. I've, like I said, made quilts, everything on my 80. Well, I don't have 8700. The 5550 is its sister. So see how we're going to go 2 inches down, and I'm going to place this on the mark, and then we're going to sew over this. We're going to sew over it twice. You're going to sew right 1/8 of an inch and about 1/4 of an inch. And backstitch at the beginning and end. And when I do this, I usually do this at the same time with the other one. So I'm only pulling out for the threads once. Lazy sewist, remember? Or genius sewist. It depends on how you look at it. All right, so I'm going to trim off this, and then I'm going to do the one that's a little bit closer. But everyone has different themes. I definitely would recommend going into groups like Sew Whatever or Creative Bag Making. And I know the question's been brought up a couple times, and looking at people's previous posts and see what they say. Each bag designer, each bag maker is going to say something different. Of course, they're going to love the machine that they have, or they're going to be like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, wish I got this one. Like it's hard. I have all three, and I honestly can't say. When people are like, which one would you pick? It's like hard. They all three are like a kid. I use all three like all the time. But if you're gonna ask like what machine am I on the most, the 1541S. but I do things that people say that you can't do on it. Like you guys are watching me sew through wax canvas and cotton, and apparently this is like a foreboding thing that never happens, and yet here I am. You can't melt the cotton. I'm melting the threads onto the cotton. So we have this. We are going to grab our backing. And there's different 8700s, like the 8700 H. There's different versions of the 8700. So we're going to have this straight. We're going to take this top of this and feed this through the connector. Take now this part, making sure everything's straight, go up and down the slider. And we're that easy. We're going to do the same thing too with this one, making sure we're looking at the piece that we just stitched the 2 lines, making sure we don't have a twisted strap. And we're going to go up the slider and down. And we have that. So we're going to sew these together side by side, right like this, connecting to the center mark that we made. So I'm just going to clip this, and we're going to sew this at 1/4 of an inch, and I would back stitch again because there's no trimming down the seams. Okay, so we have that, and then we're going to take our the little strap that we made, and we're going to have this on each side of the backpack, and I would just again sew it at 1/4 of an inch and just go across again. It's not going to hurt it. This is, oh, we just ran out of the bobbin. That's perfect timing. Okay, we're going to go 1/4 of an inch all the way across again, back stitching at the beginning. And we're done with the back. Let's start with the pocket, and then we're going to start putting this bag together. The construction of the bag is my favorite thing. I mean, if you want a walking foot, then you either gonna want a 1181 or a 1541 or a freehand. So, which machines were you on at Lauren's? So we're gonna take the pocket, and we're gonna be making some marks. We're gonna measure 1 inch down. And then from there, where's my other ruler? All right. Three-eighths of an inch. 5/8. You're on the Thor 51. And then, but you switched to 1181. Which one did you like the most before you switched? Because you can do quilting on both. I've seen Lauren quilt on hers, and she has 1181, and I've quilted on mine, and I have a 1541. I've quilted on the free arm too, but I also have quilted on the 87. I mean, oh god, the 5550. But if you're wanting a compound walking foot, or I think what is the other? I forgot what they call the other one, the 1181, because it's not a compound walking foot. It's like a needle guide foot or something interesting like that. So we're gonna do 3.5 inches down. Sorry, I'm just making a center. Because if I were you, I probably would take another joyride at Lauren's and see which one you like the best. I didn't get to have a chance to joyride because I bought mine from Steve from Sewing Gold, but I knew that I wanted to sew leather, so that's my main thing. Okay, so we had to go. We made our pocket, which was 1 inches down, 3/8 of an inch down after that, and then we had to go 5/8 of an inch in. We went 3.5 inches down from the top, the center, and we're going to be making our pocket this way. Normally I do a zipper facing or a zipper overlay, but I'm trying to stay tried and true to the pattern. But do it which way makes you happy. Yes, I am going to be teaching another class, but I can't tell you just yet. It's a special thing, but it's going to be it's going to be before June. It's going to be a very special one, but there's certain things that have to transpire before we can announce it. I'm really excited about it. All right. So we're working water resistant canvas on this, so you can go ahead and iron it as you will. I like to finger press, or I'm not gonna lie, this is not my fingers, it's like my nail bed running against this. This is not my preferred method for zipper pockets. I know a lot of like, I call them the co-founders of Bag of the Month. So let's go back to 2008, y'all. The bag founders are, of course, Mrs. H, but So Sweetness and Anne from Noodlehead. There's a couple other people. They if they all have very similar zipper pocket. So I'm kind of used to it by now. I didn't actually think I changed my zipper pockets until Alexis from Olorosa showed me how. And then it was like, what? Never again. Everything needs to be this way. I could get my iron out, but all right, so we're gonna get our zipper, and it's the same color. It's really cute, and we're going to use some double-sided tape because we're not using wax canvas, so we can double-sided tape this mug. And remember, this is a binding and not a birthing. You can't quote. Oh yeah, see, if you have the 1541S, then I would tell you to get the 8700 or the 5550 because you can quilt cotton with that. I get what you're saying on that. That's exactly the way I bought my machines were in reverse. I bought 5550. No, I bought the 1541S. And then because my domestic kept giving out on me, I bought the 5550 and then I was like, ooh, I want to get a free arm. And that's what I did. You're going to put your zipper in however you like it to close. I like to close from right to left, but my daughter likes it when her zippers are from left to right. So it's really depending on you. You really just want to make sure that your zipper stoppers and everything are within the opening and closing and not out. So that way everything will stick nicely. Let's sit. Okay. And I'm going to sew around this about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. You can do 1/8. I'm going like a scant 1/8. This is not a very big zipper. And this zipper is a little bit smaller. It has like a zipper. It's like a size 3. The zipper pull is so dainty. It's cute. And I'm back stitching. You can pull the threads to the back if you wish. But again, for this kind of backpack, and the zipper pocket, I just back stitch because those are usually bigger areas that have, you know, more wear and tear. And then we're just going to take the back pocket and put it right sides together with the top. Well, we're just going to sew all the way around. I should have actually went the other way, but I kept forgetting that it's one piece. It happens. Back stitch. I always try to get that little triangle piece that we have when we're make pockets, when we do them that way, just for that extra reinforcement. All right. And we have our pocket. Simple and sweet. All right, so now let's get to the fun stuff. And the whole bag is fun, but like I love how this bag comes together. All right. On the exterior piece, we want to mark the centers of everything, okay? And the lining panels, you want to have your centers as well. We're going to attach the lining to our fabrics as one piece. Okay, and you can do like 1/4 of an inch, 1 inch all the way around, anything you like. On my 1541S, if it's like 10 ounce water wax canvas or oilskin, I can definitely quilt it. I have, but it does take a lot of like messing with the knobs. I do the exterior down because sometimes, just sometimes, the lining can just be a tad bigger. And if it is, it's cool. Just trim it up. So I put the back pocket against the back exterior back, but you can have it the other way around if you want. It's personal preference. There's no hard or fast rules. It's all about what is easier for you. Line, that's rulers. Lining pieces. Okay. All right, so we are going to mark our centers, and on the main panel piece with a water soluble pen or chalk, we are going to make a 1/2 inch line across the top and the bottom. I'm going for chalk. Okay. And I'm just going to make the 1/2 inch stop sign. All right. So we marked our centers. And we're going to turn this right sides out. This part, the stiffer the fabric is not your friend, but you got this. So we're going to clip all the way across except where that 1/2 inch mark is at each end, and that's where we're going to sew to. So we're going to back stitch, we're going to sew a 1/2 inch from that mark. You can transfer the marks so it's a visual on the other end, so you can stop and start. So I have the mark right here. I can just place it right there, and we're going to stop and start there. We're going to be doing some cutting. I know. Trust me, I know. The first time I did this, I was like, what does she want me to do? So we're going to sew at a 1/2 inch, back stitch. Okay. All right. And then we're going to snip into that 1/2 inch mark that we had. Yeah, I know. Just to that 1/2 inch stitches. Do not snip into your stitches. I know. Just be very cognizant not to snip into your stitches. Use your sharp scissors, not something that's dull that you accidentally like snip into and you're like, oh no. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to match up our center marks. We're going to clip it. And we're going to transfer that mark of that 1/2 inch with a better chalk pencil than that. Man, that was the second one. And the more loose your fabric is, the easier this part will be. Because every time when we do it the next round, it gets a little bit more complicated. We have more fabric hanging out. All right, so we're going to go a 1/2 inch. back stitch at the beginning and the end. All right. All right, so we're going to snip again. We're going to trim these tails. Snip only a half of an inch up right by your stitches, but not through or on your stitches. All right, so we're going to now, if you snipped right, this should lay nice and flat across. Really quite genius, right? Like, I love this part. It's like magic. She should have named this the Houdini. I'm just throwing that out there. We're going to go half an inch down now. Let's cut those threads. And we'll do it on this side. As this bag gets bigger, you may hear things fall off my table. I apologize in advance. Okay. All right, we're going to now sew down this side with a 1/2 inch allowance. And I'm going to back stitch. All right, we got the one portion down. All right, we're now going to repeat for the side seams. I'm going to complete the exterior on the other side, and then we're going to bind. Isn't that cool though? It's just the coolest thing. So we're going to, we're going to do our 1/2 inch marks. We're to stop, and then we're drawing our 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. We're going to do it on the other side. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to clip this in place and then I'll flip it around. All right. So I'm going to first put this bottom piece in place. You know what? I forgot. It's one piece at a time. It's easier. It stays looser so that you're not struggling. This is going to be where I stop. And just be aware of your webbing and stuff, because you know webbing likes to move when you're not paying attention to it. It's like, oh, you're not acknowledging me? Let me get in your way. All right. So we're going to sew this down using a 1/2 inch between the lines that we drew. And I'm just maneuvering so that there's no wrinkles above the sewing line. Below it, there could be wrinkles, nothing above it. All right. Snipping that 1/2 inch. Okay, trimming those tails. All right, I'm glad you reached your destination. And all right, let's do this last one. All we have is binding. Okay, I'm transferring the marks onto the exterior. And honestly, this is the most difficult part. And if you just have a little patience, you totally got this. The more firmer your stuff is, like I have to say, I was using like suede when I did the leather one, and it was fine because it was like loose. But the one that I did with like marine vinyl, oh man, did I use some profanities. Like a lot of them. Like maybe all of them in the world. So what I like about this is that it's binding. You turn this bag right sides out and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. And then you're done with a bag that looks like it took you days to make. Okay, we're going to snip into this at the 1/2 inch part. Okay. All right. And we're going to sew this side down at a 1/2 inch. Hey, Gypsy. Let's do this. I think my favorite part is like how the clipping into the back, because I legit had reservations about that part. And to see the magic that it creates afterwards is pretty cool. Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to do with our last canvas, everything is going to be finished. We are going to start with binding. Let's see. Did I pull out the right binding? I'm sorry. One second, I'm sorry. All right. All right, I'm going to be using this I'm just making sure I have enough room to, if I need to trim down, I think that I don't have the double wide. And if I do, it's not going to be that big of a difference. I'm just going to trim this down to about 1/2 of what the seam allowance is, so that way I can bind this better. You don't have to do this part, but I don't have the binding they have, and I don't have time to iron out some. I usually make my own binding because you can do whatever you want, and I like really funky bindings. So like the seam allowance is a 1/2 inch. I'm cutting this by a 1/2 inch so that way I can use my 2-inch binding. We shall see if this works successfully on the first side. If not, at least I can say I tried. All right. So I usually do my binding on the top because no one looks on the top of your bag. And as you can see, mine's is handmade. There's double folded seam allowance on the top, and I do double stitching. I don't know. You have to do something to make sure that the binding won't come apart. And then I just press it together. I like to leave a tail at the beginning as well. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to sew at like a scant over 1/4, and then when I get to a corner, I'm going to back stitch about a 1/2 inch away from there. Remove my stitches, and you don't have to do it this way. This is just how I do it. I'm going to remove my stitches and go up, up, and then I'm going to go down. And now I'm going to resume my stitching again on the side. I'm trying my best to make minor corners. It's been a while since I made a quilt. So I'm going to go all the way down, and when I'm about a 1/2 inch away, I'm going to back stitch, cut my stitches. I don't know, my lighter wants to come with me. I'm going to go up. You're going to pull it across like you normally do, then go up, fold it up, and then back down. And then start immediately where it's down. This is the only area that I feel like water-resistant canvas and waterproof canvas and wax canvas gives you a little bit of a struggle. It's because there's no stretch. So we're going to bring it across, then pull it at an angle up, then back down onto itself. You want to make sure it's nice and taut so it's not all loosey when you're done. People that are quilters every day are going to be pro at this bag. But If you're not a pro at it, which I'm not, you're going to be okay because the corners will be nice and tucked in and nobody will see. If anyone's pulling out their bag and popping out their corners, they're not your friend and family members. They're the enemy. Remember that. Yeah, I love making this one. We just made it with metal zippers. Oy, oy, oy. And we're gonna back stitch. So I was reading in the paper this morning that the person who plays Millhouse on The Simpsons is retiring. That the last episode will be the Treehouse of Terror that appears, I think, this Sunday. And I was like, "What? My childhood? No!" So I'm pulling it, and then I'm gonna pull it straight onto towards me, and what I'm going to do is, as I'm getting closer, I'm going to take I'm going to fold this onto itself. It's hard to see. I'm going to fold one of the ends onto itself so it doesn't have a raw edge exposed. And I'm just going to tuck. I'll show you. I'll show you when I am done. I'm going to tuck the raw edges in under one so it looks like it's continuous. I do the same thing with proof canvas. So if you watch me, so what I did is I tucked that one long tail into this one that had covered up. I folded it over on itself so that way it looks like it's continuous. All right, let's see. My goodness, I just have threads everywhere. And then I'm just pulling out apparently threads that I didn't cut. And I'm just folding over the corners so they're nice and pretty. All right, and I'm just going to start sewing this, and I'm going to feed it into the machine at an angle. Free arm would be great at this, but it's very easily to get this done with a regular machine. Just feed it at an angle, and a awl or a stiletto will be your best friend to help you navigate the fabric so it can stretch over the seam. I am really bad at cutting my threads. Sorry, I'm just like, wow. Come on, Shola. I wanted to sew some placemats for this week, next weekend, but I haven't got around to it. I wanted to also do like some cork leaves and stuff like that to make some really ones. And I've been seeing like a lot of patterns to make your own like like what are they called? Napkin holders with like out of cork and all these cool little gadgets. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to make all this stuff. I don't know about you guys, but every time the holidays come around, I feel like an unnecessary weight to like start making stuff that I don't necessarily need. I just feel like because sometimes people know I'm sewing that I should make certain things. I don't know if other people feel like that, like making napkins or making this because everything has to be like Instagram or Facebook ready. Because I've had people like, oh, you bought napkins, but can't you sew? And you're like, I can. I can sew, but I buy bath towels. You know. I think there's like this false sense that because we can sew that we're supposed to make everything for our family. I don't know. All right, let me trim this down a little bit. Let's see, those scissors were garbage. Just stick to these small ones that kind of hurt my hand. It's cool. But I've been seeing all these really cute inspiration things on like Pinterest where like people are making like these really cute like tea towel napkins and they're using cork for like accent pieces for like making pies or acorns or just like really cute fall decorations or family monograms, initials on them. And I'm just like, okay, I gotta make some of these. All right. And that's this. So again, I'm going to have a little tail, and I usually do it like 3/4 of an inch to an inch long. Start at the top. Okay, we're going to stop the stitches here, and then we're just going to turn them away from us and then bring them back down. And you just want to make sure everything's lined up. And you're stopping about, since I cut my seam allowance, I'm stopping about 3/8 of an inch away. And I'm back stitching. We're going to trim those threads. And we're going to have it go up and then have it go up and then have it go back down. You're trying to do it as smoothly as possible so the miter corner will be nice when you turn it. I know it's tedious to keep stopping and starting, but the end result is really cool. So we're going to go up and get those threads that I already forgot. Up and then back down. Whenever you start and stop, make sure you backstitch so everything's locked into place. And if you don't want to do this, you can just like wrap, you know, water resistant canvas or what, like there's those 1-inch strips that would work perfectly fine, or make your strip a little bit like 1 1/4 of an inch. Or you can even one up it like 1 3/4 of an inch and then fold in like 1/8 of an inch, and then there'll be no raw edges on it and have it go all the way around. I'm not one of those people that can sew like when they're the back and the front are together. For some odd reason, I'm just not talented enough for that, where like to put the binding on and you clip it, it just always messes up. Oh, I ran out of bobbin. Well, not at a terrible place, but it's cool. It's cool. We're almost done. Oh no, the binding didn't come with the kit. This is just binding. I make all kinds of binding. This is just using this. I believe this is like a line fabric from Free Spirit, if I'm not mistaken, in the Tulip Pink line. And then you buy a yard and you just make a whole bunch of it. What came in the kit is there's the two metal zippers, the 1-inch webbing, the 1.5-inch webbing, the leather piece for the name tag, for your name tag, that's right over here. All the hardware, the 2 rectangle rings, the 2 sliders, and I think that's all that's needed in it. And it's quite a reasonable price. For hardware, is a pretty color too. I like to put this binding on everything. It was actually going to be, I was actually going to do this one. It was either going to be this one or this one, but I didn't feel like re-ironing this one. So it was either those. I was like, black and white. Huh. I don't know. Let me see I can give you the dimensions for the pickleball. Pickleball is so popular over here too. So the regular size is 11.5-inch wide, 15 inches tall, and 5 inches deep. If you make the mini, it's 8 inches wide, 10.5 inches tall, and 4.5 inches deep. It's a pretty big size bag. It's amazing how like popular pickleball got. Yeah, thank you. I like to put stripes on everything. It's like my Tim Burton thing. So again, last time going up and then back down onto itself. But if you go on Etsy and look up binding tape, there you can buy binding tape. It is expensive. It's cheaper for you to like literally make it yourself. Get your favorite color fabric and just get a yard of it and go ham. And then what I usually do is I put them in like a binding buddy like this when they're cooling down, or I have If anybody have ever seen The Craft, I have like I bind you Nancy spools. Those are my favorite. I like binding, so anything that has like cool binding tools, I'm all about. So folded this one edge onto itself so it can cover all the raw edges. But there are a lot of makers on Etsy who just sit there and they just make binding. Sometimes if I have like a major project and I can't make all the binding for it, I'll go and buy some, but it is a huge price difference when you think of what 1 yard of fabric costs compared to like you making it. And make sure you do it on the bias. If you do like across the grain, it just won't stretch the same and you'll find yourself getting frustrated. I think personally, Nancy Notions has the best binding video. And Mr. Domestic has a very good tutorial on how to make bias binding too. All right, so let's get this bag finished so we can birth it. And don't be afraid to get squishy with this bag, especially if you use the same material as me. Like I said, wax canvas to me gets, the more it gets roughed up, the better looking it gets. I'm trying to think out who else has a really good binding tutorial. Like making bias tape. There's so many tutorials on binding, but not a lot of tutorials on how to make tape. But I think I learned from Nancy's Notions, and she's no longer with us, but her videos are still around. And by Annie. And then somebody was showing, I stumbled across Mr. Domestics. I think his video was on Missouri Stars page, and it saved, like the way he explains it makes so much more sense to me. Like I was like, why doesn't everyone explain it like that? And that's the beauty of finding different teachers. People explain things so differently, and when someone speaks your sewing language, it just means absolutely everything. And it could be because he came at it with a little bit more of a more playful demure, like wasn't as serious. And I don't take myself very serious, so the more playful someone is, the easier it is for me to learn from them. And like there's nothing wrong with being a serious teacher, because I think that's good, because some people have to learn like that. But the way he explained it and how you can do it with a fat quarter and how much you can get. He also has a video where you can make it continuous. I have not mastered that. I think it's witchcraft. I think he has some Harry Potter magic, because I am not understanding how he has it where it's continuous. Like you just need to see the video and then you'll be like, I understand. My ADHD cannot comprehend how he does it continuously. But I think it's like a video that he's known for. But yeah, look to the quilters. The quilters have all the goodies when it comes down to bias binding. All right. So we're going to unzip this, and we're going to turn this right sides out. And we're just going to poke out the corners as best as we can. It's sometimes it can be a little difficult with wax canvas, but just, you know, give it your best shot. I'm using my thumb pads to push out the corners. And just take your time. I know some people would tell you to blow dry. I just try not to put any heat on wax canvas because it takes so long to cure. And especially if I don't know who treated it, I don't know what kind of treatment they use, what kind of canvas, water. So I just finagle it. I'm really loving black with this blue though. Oh my god. Like, you mean the continuous yard? Yeah, he has done a couple of videos of that, and every single time I'm like, what are you doing? How do you do that, sir? Please explain. And he does. He explains it really well, and it's a me thing, and definitely not a him thing. It's like magic. I love watching it too. I'll watch it on replay. He has like a TikTok. I think if you could see how many times a person watched it, he would probably think, why is Shinova a secret stalker of this video? And I am. I'm not gonna lie. It's really interesting. There's so many tutorials for binding, right? In bag making, but not a lot on how to make binding. I mean, they give you like the general, like cut on the bias tape and iron it, but there's not like making your own binding is actually so rewarding. Okay, I'm going to push out this corner. Then I'm going to add the leather toggles to the exterior. I really like these colors together. All right, so we're going to take this piece of leather, which you could buy these leather pieces in our shop. We're going to feed them through the hole. And make sure they're nice and flush and even. Then take your fingers from the other hole and just make a little bit of a knot. We're giving it like a cool more handcrafted feel that our bag is so dope you can't even get it at a store. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take one of these toggles. We're going to do the same thing on the inside. We're going to put one of these in so it's easy for them to pull. And I know this one might be a little bit more trickier because it's a size 3. So you might have to do one section at a time. But it'll be worth it. And that's why I wanted to do these small business like sew alongs, because like they have so many cool stuff that you just didn't know. Like I by looking at her shop, I found out she had a blog, and then from the blog I found out, oh, she has her own fabric, and then her fabric line is actually quite stunning. Where are my This is the problem. Where is the This is such a small hole. I'm just looking for my hemostats, but I think they're over by another machine. Yeah, I'm gonna need my hemostats. If I can find them. This leather's like, no, Shanova, not today. And I'm like, no, I can do this. I can, and I did. And then we have a toggle with some leather shavings for me finagling it in there. So this is the end result. See, it's not hard to do it with the metal zipper. You can get the kit. It's perfectly for it. And like, but if you don't want to get the kit, let's say you're like, no, I don't want to get the whole kit. Go to YKK. You find out what the exact zipper from the pattern is, 23 inches. And I showed you it was 23 inches. Get a 23-inch zipper and then you can try it. It gives it a more like rustic feel. It becomes more unique, different, and it gives it a more rugged thing. We're so used to having all this hardware that sometimes when we don't have it on a bag, that's when the elegance comes out in it. It looks so good. And I do think you can modify the heck out of this. This is with just wadding. This is just with quilting cotton with foam. Quilting batting with foam. Can be a very, very good bag for a computer bag. Put a computer sleeve in it with additional batting. This can be super cute. Like if you're giving a computer to your kid, make it in this. Make the bag and put the computer inside the bag, and they're like, "Oh, you gave me a really nice bag for Christmas." And when they open it up, it's the computer. Like it it can go for so many levels, and it just looks so elegant for it to be so like very simplistic. I don't know. I'm absolutely head over heels for this design. This is one of my favorite bags to make. It's try and true, and how it comes together is just brilliant to me. I'm so happy that we got to sew this together. And next week we're going to be making the Lori bag from Handmade Space, and I'm contemplating on doing that one live because that one has grommets, and I get a lot of questions on how to install grommets in the tools that I use. And I wasn't aware that the owner of Handmade Space had patterns, and when I found it, I bought the kit, I got the pattern, and I can't wait to do that one with you guys. So I will be talking to you guys really soon, and I cannot wait for the next bag we make. I know it's super, super cute. You could do this. Um, the pattern designer gives you how to make miter corners, and when you look at the picture, it becomes easy. And then also, like I said, look at these quilters, like look at Mr. Domestic, Crafty Gemini, look at all these people that do it. They have videos on how to do miter corners. I believe even So Sweetness has one. And then it'll be like, oh, that's it. And you got this. You got this. So I will talk to you guys all later, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Captain's Log. All right. Bye.